Yeah.
So then part of your networking, it sounds like, was bridging that gap and being there with each other as all supporting Marley.
Yeah, it's, don't burn bridges. This is a good one.
You might need to cross that bridge later.
Yes, I mean, there we were in a hospital room.
Yeah.
You know, and the first go-round was ICU for 12 days.
Okay.
Small room, sick kid, ex-husband, new wife.
Ooh,
you know,
there you are.
it's like
There's a life passage for you.
You know, and it was like we had a choice of either working together or battling.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just had to come together and work for what was best for Marley. And
Beautiful.
it worked beautifully. And Marley died in all three of our arms.
Really? How wonderful.
We worked together as a great team for 3.5 years.
Isn't that powerful?
Yeah, it was much better than battling.
Yes, for everyone. Because you needed all your forces from within to be able to give to your son and support one another and yourselves just getting through this.
Well,
It would have
Marley's...
drained everyone if they were fighting.
Oh, yeah. Would have
And
been
Marley?
a real drag.
Yeah.
We ended up laughing a lot and
wonderful.
having a great time. And Marley's theory in life is you have a better time if you do it with other people, whatever it is. And so union was what he liked, and he liked all of his family
Together.
close.
Yeah.
And so doing everything at home and avoiding hospitals was the name of our game.
Right.
And,
You did have to go to some hospitals.
but then a lot
you
of
chose
surgeries.
A lot of the at-home care.
Yeah.
And when you did find yourself in, was it Boston? You did some very intensive kind of surgery focuses, or?
He had a lung removed,
Yeah.
lung, lymph, and a rib.
And you stayed at the Ronald McDonald House, is that right?
Yeah.
Can you say just a snippet about that before we move on?
Yeah, also stayed in the Ronald McDonald House in Portland.
And some people may not know what that is. Maybe you could
The
explain.
Ronald McDonald Corporation has put together houses all across the country, and they're usually next to major hospitals. And it's for terminally ill, for kids with cancer specifically, or life-debilitating diseases.
Or life-threatening.
Yeah, so while they're doing surgical process, they have a place, they don't charge any money.
So the family can go stay with their child nearby.
Yes, and everything in these houses has been donated.
Wow.
So talk about networking and community.
That's
it's
big.
Beautiful. I mean, the computers, the telephones, the DVDs,
Beds.
everything. They do a brilliant job, and it's a heartfelt place.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
When we arrived the first time, we weren't alone. All of a sudden, there were 30 other families whose kids had cancer of any variety, and I had no idea how many kids are sick. This is big.
It is big.
We're not talking about it.
That's right.
I am not the only parent that's going to deal with this.
Right. You said there was a whole wing downstairs for the bone marrow transplant children to stay quiet as they need to. And
I mean, these are gruesome processes
yeah.
these kids are going through. And
so he must have had to be very brave to go through a lot of the pain and such. And you as a mom
extremely.
had to be.
Well, like I said, he dragged us along in the journey. It's hard to whimper and cry and feel sorry for yourself when your kid is, going through life with great courage. He had more courage than the rest of us, so we had to buck up and
try and measure up there. Don't be a wimp.
Yeah, or if you're going to be a wimp, be a good wimp.
What's a good
Cry
wimp?
hard.
Oh, cry hard. Go for it.
If I want to suck my thumb in the corner, let me.
Yeah, that's good. So own it then.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're big. There's Ronald McDonald House and Hospice. Those are two great organizations.
And how was hospice helpful to you?
Hospice takes care of families and dying patients. And I think hospice can step in when procedures are aimed at the dying process, not at continuing to live. So it's usually towards the very end. And we had maybe a month with hospice.
And did they come and were at your home quite a bit, or?
Well, we didn't have that much time. I guess it was a couple weeks. But they are some of the best pain specialists out there.
Wow.
Just by a telephone call, they know, the patient's charts inside and out, and they will provide you quickly with anything you need to have a great, calm death, whether it's in a hospital or at home.
That's lovely. That's reassuring to know that they're there.
Yeah.
So very there.
And I wish there was a hospice that was designed for anybody. So if a kid got into an automobile accident and was in the hospital for a week, that hospice could be there. But it's specifically for terminal disease.
Illnesses. Well, I like that you're speaking of this vaster vision of it.
Someday
It would be
soon.
really wonderful very soon to have that kind of quality of care for someone dying from a traumatic event like an
Or
accident.
just hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
good
hurt.
point. Yeah.
Because some of us don't have a lot of family, and
That's right.
hospice
A lot
is a
of
wonderful
people
family.
don't. And so that's good to remember as we speak about networking and family.
Yeah.
Then, then having more resources of people who can show up to be present.
And hospice did a wonderful way of walking us through the process of knowing when we might be getting close.
Okay, so they could help you understand what stage you're at in this dying.
And that was important because it was no man's land. My father, I have experienced 2 home deaths before Marley's. And so my father died at home, and within an hour, the funeral parlor people came and zipped him in a black plastic bag and carted him away. When my mother died, we knew enough because of that experience to not call the coroners for several hours so that we could be with her body and, say goodbye privately.
That's nice.
Before she was carted away.
Right.
And with Marley and the help of hospice, they said, you can keep him here. You don't have to take him away.
So what did you do? Did you decide to keep him there at the home?
We did. He died at 11 o'clock at night, and like I said, in the arms of all 3 of his parents. And it was, that last breath is just, oh my God, there's nothing.
No more breath coming out.
Deadline means deadline. There's nothing else you can do. And it took a while to get that he was really dead.
Right.
Shock.
Yeah.
So it's like, had somebody came and taken him away,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I could have dealt with that. So he was at home, or surrounded by his family, and we all, we were able to just sit around him and tell stories. And the following morning, hospice came out and had dry ice.
Uh-huh.
And so we packed dry ice around his body and got an air conditioner for the room.
Good idea.
So it became, the old-timey funeral parlor. I mean, and
Yeah,
that's
or
why
like
they
a
call
wake where people come and visit.
the front rooms of
Yeah.
all those big old houses are called the parlor room. That's why. This is where the dead body used to be viewed.
So you got to spend time with him and be next to him.
Let him go. Let him go.
In your own pacing, not rush.
Yeah, all of us would take different times of spending quiet time with him, and it was important.
Yeah.
3 days. We spent 3 days. That's the classic grieving time, or from the time of
Severance
death.
time.
Yeah, from the time of death to burial or cremation. In most cultures, it's around 3 days.
Right. So that in itself was kind of a ceremony, just the presencing with each other and with him. And you did, even leading up to that time, mark his journey with ceremonies. And then, of course, there was, no doubt, a memorial ceremony. And then a year later, I think you had an event.
Yeah, parties. Marley liked parties.
He liked parties.
Yeah,
Party
and
boy.